everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Emily. So today I'm going to go through a few books that come out in September, October, and November, so the fall season, that I'm looking forward to. I tried to keep it to around 5 books a month just because I didn't want this to be exceedingly long, and I don't want to talk about like every book that's coming out. I just kind of went through new releases and picked books that either I am super looking forward to the point where I have already pre-ordered them or that just looked interesting to me. So September is probably the most exciting month out of the next 3 for me because the first week of the month I have 2 pre-orders that are coming to me, and the first is Shadows of Pearl, which is the second book in JL's House of Marion series. I read that first book, I want to say around September last year. I picked it up at Target because it was on sale and it looked interesting. And the second book in that series comes out on the second book in that series comes out on September 3rd. I do have that pre-ordered, obviously. This is a romantasy novel. There was a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the first one, so I'm excited to see where this goes into. But essentially, this is about people that have powers that show a gift almost, but then they still have to like hone their powers and prove out their powers before they can officially be welcomed into a house. And we find this girl who was separated from her mother and has had to hide for years because her power is considered bad and like evil, and nobody should really know that she has like this dark power. So she's been trying to hide it, and her grandmother is actually the head of the House of Marion. So she gets taken in by her grandmother when her mother goes missing. And it's her like learning about this whole world and being accepted into this house and like figuring out her powers and all of that. That's the basis of the House of Marion. So this happens after like her final rite, which is where the first book ends. So this is the book that takes place after that. I don't really know where it's going to go. I'm trying not to read too much into it, but in a nutshell, that's what it is. There was a romance between her and the guy that was training her. I'm hoping that continues into this book. We shall see, but very much looking forward to that. The next book that I'm looking forward to that also comes out on September 3rd is Elsie Silver's Wild Eyes, which is the second book in the Rose Hill series. And this is going to follow Weston, who was, I believe, our female, Rosie, was that her name? Look at me remembering things. I believe it's her brother. Yeah, I was right. Rosie, it's her brother, Weston. And I believe the female love interest was kind of introduced in the first one. She's like a pop star. I believe that's who the interest is going to be. But I don't really remember meeting her. I just know that she was talked about because she had a contract with Rose Hill Records that Ford Grant runs. So I believe it's also single dad. It has to be single dad because he has a kid. So I think all of these are single dad, which Elsie Silver does very well, in my opinion. I don't typically like that trope, but this is another single dad one. I wouldn't call it a cowboy romance, but it's like a billionaire romance that is connected to the Chestnut Spring series. Very excited for that because the first book was really good. I definitely liked Chestnut Springs books better, but I also liked it better than some of the Chestnut Springs books, so it kind of sat in the middle for me. Then on September 17th, we have Alexis Henderson's An Academy for Liars, and this one just looked interesting to me. I didn't really know it was coming out until I started looking into some books, and it's a dark academia novel, and this is about a girl, Lennon, who gets a mysterious phone call inviting her to take the entrance exam for Drayton College, a school of magic hidden in the secret pocket of Savannah. So she has been chosen because, like everyone else at the school, she has an innate gift of persuasion. The ability to wield her will like a weapon, using it to control others in rare cases matters. So during her studies, her control grows and she starts to uncover more about the secret world she has entered into, including the disquieting history of Drayton College. She's increasingly disturbed by what she learns, for it seems the ultimate test is to embrace absolute power without succumbing to corruption. So it just looks like a dark academia type fantasy novel, and those are usually right up my alley. It looked very interesting. I'm not sure I'll buy it right away, but as we get further into fall, if I read enough books off my physical TBR, it's one that I'm definitely going to have my eye on purchasing. Another one that kind of falls in that realm is The Hitchcock Hotel by Stephanie Roble. And this is basically about a guy named Alfred who is a Hitchcock fan. He is the founder, owner, and manager of the Hitchcock Hotel, a sprawling Victorian house in the White Mountains dedicated to the master of suspense. There he offers guests round-the-clock film screenings, movie props, and memorabilia in every room, plus an aviary with 50 crows. To celebrate the hotel's first anniversary, he invites his former best friends from his college film club for a reunion. Hasn't spoken to any of them in 16 years, not after what happened. But who better them to appreciate Alfred's creation and to help him finish it. After all, no Hitchcock set is complete without a body. So it looks like mysterious murder. Something obviously happened in college that secret will probably come out. It's probably connected to what happened. Sounds like a fun horror novel, like that's an oxymoron. But it sounds like something that would be very interesting to read. Again, as the fall time comes, I might pick it up. I might wait till it comes out in paperback and read it next fall. We'll see. But Hitchcock is very fascinating to me. Obviously a fan. So when I saw this book, I immediately added to this list to talk about. And the final book for September is Laura Dave's The Night We Lost Him. That comes out on the 17th. And she wrote The Last Thing I Told Him, which was a Reese's Book Club pick that I read. I never watched the show. It became an Amazon or an Apple TV show. I can't remember. I enjoyed the book. I heard that the show was a little bit different, so I don't know that I'll ever watch the show. But this book is about Liam, who was many things to many people. To the public, he was an exacting, self-made hotel magnate fleeing his past. To his 3 ex-wives, he was a loving, albeit distant family man who kept his finances flush and his families carefully separated. To Nora, he was a father who loved her from afar, notably a cliffside cottage perched on the California coast from which he fell to his death. The authorities rule the death accidental, but Nora and her estranged brother Sam have other ideas. As Nora and Sam form an uneasy alliance to unravel the mystery, they start putting together the pieces of their father's past and uncover a family secret that changes everything. So I really did enjoy The Last Thing He Told Me. It definitely had Gone Girl vibes, so the story was a little bit like been there, done that for me, but I did enjoy it a little bit more than Gone Girl because I didn't like the characters in Gone Girl. So I'm excited to see how this one pans out, and her writing seems to be like fast-paced thriller. I got through The Last Thing He Told Me pretty quickly, so this could be just like a quick, easy thriller read to pick up if the mood strikes me. So coming out October 1st is Sabaa Tahir's new book from the Air duology, Air, and I've never read her other series, which name is evading me at this point. An Ember in the Ashes. I haven't read that, but I've been seeing that flying around BookTube and everything recently, and I think I will potentially pick it up at some point, maybe next year. It's a series I don't want to start right now, but as the Air, it seems to be just part of a duology. I thought that might be something to read from her to see if I liked the writing. And this just says, an orphan, an outcast, a prince, and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. Growing up in the Kagari slums, Aiz has seen her share of suffering, and an old tragedy fuels her need for vengeance, but it is love of her people that propels her forward, until one hot-headed mistake lands her in an inescapable prison where the embers of her wrath ignite. Banished from her people for an unforgivable crime, Circe is a down-on-her-luck tracker who uses magic to trace her marks. Destitute, she agrees to hunt down a killer who has murdered children across the Martial Empire. All she has to do is carry out the job and get paid, but when a chance encounter leads to an unexpected attraction, Circe learns her mission might cost her far more than she's willing to give up. Quill is the crown prince of the empire and a nephew of the venerated empress, but he's loath to take on the throne when his aunt steps down. As the son of a revealed emperor, he, better than anyone, understands that power corrupts. When a vicious new enemy threatens the survival of the empire, Quill must ask himself if he can rise above his tragic lineage and be the heir his people need. Sounds like a little bit of romantasy maybe, but a little bit more high fantasy to me. This might be YA. Yeah, this looks like a YA book, but I feel like there will be a romance. Not sure who it'll be between. Maybe a love triangle, because I believe there's 2 females there, and then the crown prince. So sounds interesting. I am very interested in reading a book by her to see if I like her writing. Also coming out on October 1st is the sequel to Better Than the Movies, Nothing Like the Movies, and I believe this just follows Liz and Wes after that book and going into college, because they were on the cusp of going to college and pretty much seeing if their love can survive the changes that they're going to be going through now being in a different setting. So that is Lynn Painter, obviously. I did enjoy Nothing Like the Movies. It was a very cute, very fast YA, fun, lighthearted read. So I'm hoping this doesn't take it down a dark hole because, going off to college, you change, you meet new people, you become a different person, and I'm hoping that doesn't pull them apart. We'll see. I'd like to hope that it is a romance novel. It won't. It'll end happy, but one never knows. So then coming out October 22nd is Anna Huang's new book, The Striker, which is the first in the Gods of the Game series. And I believe this is a soccer romance. So this looks like a trainer-player situation And their trainer is also his rival's sister. So he has like a footballer rival and has some issues with him in his feud during the season. And then during the off season meets the new trainer, and she happens to be his enemy's sister. She obviously, will never date a footballer. It's one of those situations. But now that they're in close proximity and obviously she's training him, things are going to change. So I guess that would be like enemies, sister, rival sister, romance, forced proximity, because they obviously have to be together to train. I've only read one Anna Huang book. It was Twisted Love. I did like it. I plan on reading the rest of that series before the end of the year, and I have the first 2 books in the Kings of Sin series, I believe it's called. And I do plan on trying to read those as well. This is just another one she's thrown in there when she's not even done with that series. I have another one to keep on my radar. Not sure if I'll buy that now, but it's definitely on my list of books that I do want to purchase at some point. On Tuesday, October 29th, the next book in the Prince of Sin series by Carrie Maniscalco comes out, and that is Throne of Secrets, and I believe this follows Gluttony. We meet Gluttony's like rival, who is like a journalist that he just doesn't get along with. She writes like terrible things about him. And I think that they have to like team up to help his kingdom. And I don't know exactly how she falls into it, but it's like a rivals, enemies to lovers situation from what I'm grabbing from it. The first book followed Envy, and I really did enjoy that. It's definitely more adult than the Kingdom of the Wicked series that followed Wrath. And I believe there will be a book for every brother, so there should be 6 books because there's 7 Deadly Sins, and Wrath had a series, so I don't think he'll get a book in this. I don't know, I could be wrong, but there should be 6 books that come out in this series, and this is the second. And I did, like I said, very much enjoy the first one, so I will be picking this up to read as soon as I can get my hands on it. Don't know that I'll read it before the end of the year, but I'm gonna want it in my collection. These books are also beautiful. The first book was beautiful. This one, the cover is gorgeous. So it'll be something that I'm very excited to add to my shelf. And then the last book coming out in October that kind of caught my eye is called A New Lease on Death, and it's by Olivia Black. It seems like a funny supernatural mystery. This girl dies in her apartment and now there's a new tenant in it, and she hasn't really left, so she's obviously like haunting her apartment. And her next door neighbor is found dead, and it's ruled like an accident or something, but she doesn't believe that that's how he died. So she's investigating it, but as a ghost, obviously like nobody's going to take her seriously. So I think it's like she teams up with the new inhabitant of her apartment to do a little investigation on what actually happened to her ex-neighbor, and I guess her new tenant's ex-neighbor as well, because he is dead. But it just looks like it's going to be funny, like a ghost and a human that like aren't obviously getting along because she's haunting her apartment are going to team up to try to solve this mystery. Looked really fun. Definitely something I could see myself picking up in spooky season. That is all for October, so now to move on to November. All right, so in November, coming out on the 5th, we have Lila Sage's next book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, which is Lost and Lassoed. I have not read any of these books, but I have listened to the first 2. They're books that I've just saved for audio. I don't count audiobooks, I've said that before, as an actual read book, but I am looking forward to continuing listening to this series. It has been really fun, and this will be the next one, obviously. Looks like this one's going to follow Teddy and Gus. I'm very excited about that. Oh, and it is a single dad. It is just like single dad season, I guess, for books. And Teddy kind of just does what she wants. I really like her. I've loved her in the last 2 books. She's a free spirit, and Gus is not. So I'm very excited to see how together they like fight a lot in the other books. It's like bickering and picking on each other, and I'm excited to see this little like hate to love situation. And I think it would be little sister's best friend. All the good tropes. Very much looking forward to that one. Then coming out on the 12th, we have Puck and Prejudice, which is a hockey regency romance. I don't know. It looked so interesting. So it is a truth universally acknowledged that a modern single man in possession of a hockey jersey may be exactly what a regency woman needs to avoid the shackles of marriage. Goalie for the Austin Regals, Tucker Taylor, is benched due to health issues, so he visits his sister in England. But an accidental plunge into icy pond thrusts him back to 1812, where he comes face to face with captivating blue-eyed woman who regards him as if he's grown 2 heads. Lizzie Wooddish dreams of a life surrounded by books, engaging conversation, the presence of literary icons like Jane Austen, and nary a husband in sight. But in Regency England, only widows like her cousin Georgie enjoy freedom and solitary pursuits. unencumbered by expectations. The only way to quickly become a widow is by marrying a dying man or killing a perfectly healthy one, neither of which Lizzie desires. A visitor from the future might be just the husband of her dreams. Once married, they can figure out how to return Tucker to his proper time, and his absence, aka death, will make Lizzie the widow she always dreamed of becoming. Yet, as sparks ignite, they soon realize that matters of the heart rarely adhere to a carefully laid plan. Magical realism. Very, very intrigued by that synopsis. It looked like something interesting just because I was like, okay, she's in Regency gear and he's in a hockey costume. I swear to God I watch hockey. Hockey uniform. And I just thought I was like, where is this gonna go? Magical realism, traveling to the past to fall in love. That sounds really fun. Also coming out on November 12th is Jennifer Lynn Barnes' Games Untold, and I believe this is just a collection of novellas that falls in line with the main characters that we have from the original Inheritance Games series. And I'm hoping that this follows more than just Grayson and Jameson. And it looks like we might get some more of Xander and Nash based on the names of the novellas. Yeah, there's 8. 2 of them were previously published in limited release, and then the other 6 are new. I do love the Inheritance Games series. World, I just bought games, what was the name of it? The Grandest Game, which is like a spin-off from the Inheritance Games. It's different characters, but it's following a game that they created based on the inheritance that happened in the Inheritance Games. So, haven't read that yet. I do plan on reading that before the end of the month because it just came out, but I just love that world, everything about it. Okay, last 2 books. Another one coming out on the 12th is Skyshade by Alex Astor. This is the 3rd book in the Lightlark series. I cannot wait for this book. The last one left off on a cliffhanger, and after reading the first half of the book and being so angry, it started to go in the direction that I wanted it to go the second half, then left us off on a cliffhanger. So I am very excited to see where the story goes, to see where Isla takes the romance, the love triangle that she's been in, and what happens with the character that she ended the last book off with. So, very excited for that. I read her books so fast too. I feel like I read Nightbane in like less than 24 hours and then was like, I need the next one. And I had to wait like a year to get it. So, I'm probably not going to hold back. I'm going to read this one fast too and then ask her again when the next one's coming. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series. She hasn't said I can't find it anywhere. I don't know if this is the last one. We'll see. And then finally coming out on November 19th is The Songbird in the Heart of Stone, which is the 3rd book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, the 1st book of the 2nd duology. And I think this follows a different set of vampire. Like, I think it was like the 3 different sectors of it. I can't remember which this one follows. This is about Mish, who was forcibly turned into a vampire, lost her home, her humanity, and most devastating of all, the love of the sun, God to whom she had devoted her life. Now sentenced to death for her murdering the vampire prince who turned her, redemption feels impossible. But when Mish is saved by Asar, the bastard prince of the House of Shadow, so this is the House of Shadow, I should have just continued reading. With a past as brutal as his scars, she's forced into a mission worse than execution, a journey to the underworld to resurrect the god of death himself. Yet her punishment may be the key for her salvation. In a secret meeting, her sun god commands her to help Asar in this mission, only to betray him by killing the god of death. They must travel the treacherous path to the underworld, facing trials, beasts, and the vengeful ghosts of their past, but most dangerous of all is the alluring call of the darkness and her forbidden attraction to Asar, a burgeoning bond that risks invoking the wrath of gods. As her betrayal looms, the underworld closes in, and angry gods grow restless. She will be forced to choose between the redemption of the sun or the damnation of the dark. They say it's a court of thorns and roses meets Dante's Inferno. That makes me want to really read this one. I did read the first 2 books, The Serpents and the Wings of Night and The Ashes and the Starcursed King. I liked the first book much better than the second one, but I do want to continue the series. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I've not bought any of these books just because I liked them, but not enough to put them on my shelves. But we'll see how this next one plays out. So that's it. I think it was like 15 books. I tried to keep it, like I said, to 5 books a month. And all of them are ones that I am excited for, not just ones that I saw and I was like, oh, I need to talk about some books. So that's why I tried to limit it so that I wasn't talking about a bunch of books that I probably will never buy. All of these books are books that I could see myself purchasing if I have not already. So let me know if I've missed any that you're super excited to have come out. Let me know if you're excited about any of these books, which one you're the most excited about. If so, what month you think the best book releases is for the fall this year. I'm kind of torn because there's like at least one book every month that I'm very excited for. I'm leaning more towards, I don't know, I can't pick a month. But if you have one that's like a standout for you, Let me know in the comments. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.